CQ, CQ. This is GB2RS, the news broadcasting service of the Radio Society of Great Britain. This broadcast comes to you from amateur radio station Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta in Meppershall, Bedfordshire. Good morning, it's Sunday the 14th of July and here is the GB2RS news broadcast, prepared for you by the RSGB and intended for all radio amateurs and listeners. This news is also available on our website at rsgb.org, where you can find links to organisations mentioned in this broadcast. This week's news headlines: the RSGB is recruiting for a company secretary, the RSGB Planning Advisory Committee needs more volunteers, and a new RSGB video covering the Ofcom licence changes is now out. We'll have more on those items shortly, but first the RSGB wants to recruit an RSGB member to be the Society's Company Secretary. This volunteer position is a key role in the Society and it gives vital support in running board meetings and the annual general meeting. Stephen Purser, Golf Whiskey 4 Sierra Hotel Foxtrot, took on the role temporarily after the previous secretary resigned, and the board thanks Stephen for stepping in at short notice last year, and the board is now keen to find a candidate to take on the role. If you have the necessary skills for this important role, and if you'd like more information, please email, and I'll spell this phonetically for you, golfmike.deltaechopapatango at rsgb.org.uk. That's gm.dept@rsgb.org.uk. And the board chair will then contact you for a chat, and if you do apply, please include your CV. And the board welcomes applications from people with diverse backgrounds. And for full information, please go to rsgb.org/volunteers. Now, the RSGB Planning Advisory Committee needs more volunteers to join its advisory panel. And volunteers deal with queries from members about planning permission for masts and antennas, such as help in applying to the local council or in entering an appeal. And if you have relevant professional experience, not necessarily as a planner, or if you know how the planning system works, then please get in touch. You can find more about us at rsgb.org/PAC, that's Papa Alpha Charlie for Planning Advisory Committee. And you can email the board liaison for planning, that's Les Paget, Golf Mike 0 Oscar November X-ray. His email address is Golf Mike 0 Oscar November X-ray at rsgb.org.uk, and you can then arrange to have a chat. The RSGB has released a video about Ofcom's licence changes that came into effect in February, and this video is an extended version of the one that we showed at the Society's AGM. It covers the updates from power increases and call signs to extra options for foundation licensees and many new ways to share amateur radio with people who don't have a licence. And it also looks at the next phases of Ofcom's licence changes. If you want to make the most of your new licence terms, or if you're unsure about some of the changes, watch the new video and see what you could do. You can find it on the RSGB YouTube channel and also on the RSGB website at rsgb.org/license, that's Lima India Charlie Echo November Charlie Echo -review, that's Romeo Echo Victor India Echo Whiskey. Callum, Mike 0 Mike Charlie X-ray, says that DX Commander will have an open day on Saturday the 17th of August. The event will include operating 2 amateur radio stations that Callum is making available. One will be on HF using a Kenwood TS990S, and the other will be on VHF using an ICOM IC9700. The stations are in a low noise area and you're welcome to use them. You're also welcome to visit the expanded antenna field. You can also see DX Commander's new secret projects and enjoy some food. And the RSGB will be there with Region 5 representative Mark Savage, Mike 0 X-ray India Charlie. He'll be manning the bookstall. Doors open from 12 to 4 p.m. and places are limited, so please visit dxcommander.com and register to book a place. This year, International Lighthouse and Lightship Weekend runs from 0001 UTC on the 17th of August to 2400 UTC on the 18th. The event attracts more than 500 lighthouse entries in over 40 countries, and if you'd like to read more about this, go to the event website, which is indialima whiskey.net. That's ILLW.net. The next Essex CW Boot Camp and Conference will be on Saturday the 26th of October, and that's being held at the 3rd Witham Scout and HQ Guide, or Guide HQ. Spaces are limited, so you need to book your place early, and in order to do so, visit EssexCW, that's all one word, EssexCW.UK, and follow the Boot Camp and CW Conference link for more information. Well, we now have details of rallies and events. The Cambridge Repeater Group Rally is on today, Sunday the 14th, and it's being held at Foxton Village Hall. That's on Hardman Road in Foxton, Cambridgeshire. And for your sat-nav, use the postcode Charlie Bravo 226 Romeo November. The doors open at 9:30 a.m. for visitors and at 7:30 a.m. for traders. And it event features a car boot sale, talk-in, trade stands, clubs and a bring and buy area. There's also a free marshalled car park, and a burger van will be available on site. For more information, visit Cambridge Repeaters, that's all one word, .net, and click on the Rally tab. Also on today, it's the Lincoln Shortwave Club Summer Rally, and that's taking place at Raisin Festival Hall in Caister Road, and the postcode is Lima November 8 3 Hotel Tango. The doors open at 10 a.m. and entry is £3. There's hot refreshments and plenty of free car parking on site. For more information, including contact details, you can visit the event website, which is tinyurl.com. That's Tango India November Yankee Uniform Romeo Lima/Lima Sierra Whiskey Charlie 2024. The Michael Radio and Electronics Rally and Car Boot Sale is also taking place today. This is happening at the Reading Rugby Club. That's on Home Park in Sonning Lane, Reading, and the postcode is Romeo Golf 4 6 Sierra Tango. The doors open at 9 a.m. for visitors and 8 a.m. for traders, and refreshments and ample car parking are available. For more information, visit mcmichaelrally, all one word, .org.uk. The Bury St Edmunds Radio Rally takes place on Sunday the 21st of July, and the venue will be the Ruffham Tower Museum. That's at postcode India Papa 327 Quebec Bravo. The doors open at 9:30 a.m. for visitors and at 8 a.m. for traders, and there are refreshments available on site from the museum's cafeteria. Admission is £3, and for more information you can email rally2024, that's all one word, rally2024 at Bravo Sierra Echo Alpha Romeo Sierra.co.uk. The Finningley Amateur Radio Society Rally is also set to take place on Sunday the 21st, and that's being held at Belton Road in Sandtoft, Doncaster, and the postcode is Delta November 8 5 Sierra X-Ray. The doors will open at 10 a.m. and you can get more information from golfhotelkilo.com. And now we have the special event news. During the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, you can look out for Tango Mike 67 Juliet Oscar, and they'll be active between the 26th of July and the 11th of August. The operators will include Foxtrot 1 Lima Foxtrot Lima on SSB, and Foxtrot 5 Papa Zulu Tango using FT8 and FT4, and Foxtrot 5 Tango Foxtrot Whiskey on Morse code. And if you're lucky enough to contact one of the stations, you can QSL to Foxtrot 1 Lima Foxtrot Lima, or via the Bureau or directly. Another special call sign is Hotel Bravo 50 Victor Charlie, and they're active until the 31st of December, and that's to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Radio Amateur Club Swiss Air. The club call sign is Hotel Bravo 9 Victor Charlie. Contacts will be uploaded to Logbook of the World. QSL cards won't be provided, but you'll be able to find details of a participation certificate by visiting the event website, which is tinyurl.com/Hotel Bravo 50 Victor Charlie. Now we move on to the DX news. Eric, Kilo Victor 1 Juliet, is active as Foxtrot Papa, / Kilo Victor 1 Juliet, and he's operating from Miquelon Island. That's IOTA reference November Alpha 032, and he'll be active until Tuesday the 16th of July. He's operating mainly using SSB and FT8, plus some Morse code, RTTY and FT4. He's active on the 80 to 6 meter bands, but he is focusing on the 12, 10 and 6 meter bands. You can QSL via Logbook of the World, Club Logs OQRS, EQSL, or via Eric's home call directly or via the Bureau. And for more information, see tinyurl.com/Foxtrot Papa, Kilo Victor 1 Juliet. Another good one is Giovanni, India Zulu 2 Delta Papa X-Ray. He'll be active as Tango Oscar 7 Papa X-Ray from Reunion Island. That's IOTA reference Alpha Foxtrot 016, and he's active until Thursday, the 18th of July. He's operating on SSB and FT8 on the 40 to 6 meter bands, and you can QSL directly to India Kilo 2 Delta Uniform Whiskey. And now we have the contest news. Well, this weekend we have the IARU HF World Championship. That started at 1200 yesterday and it ends at 1200 today. Using Morse code and SSB on the 160 to 10 meter bands where contests are allowed. The exchange is Signal Report and ITU Zone. Also today we have the next session of the UK microwave groups 24, 47 and 76 GHz cumulative contest, and that runs from 0900 to 1700 UTC. You can use all modes on the 24, 47 and 76 GHz bands, and the exchange is Signal Report, serial number and locator. Then tomorrow, the 15th, we have the RSGB FT4 contest, and that runs from 1900 UTC to 2030 UTC. This contest uses FT4 on the 80 to 10 meter bands where contests are allowed, and the exchange is simply your report. Then on Tuesday the 16th, it's the 1.3 GHz UK activity contest, and that runs from 1900 to 2130 UTC. Using all modes on the 1.3 GHz band, the exchange is Signal Report, serial number and locator. Then on Thursday the 18th, we have the 70 MHz UK activity contest. That starts at 1900 UTC and finishes at 2130. You can use all modes on the 4 meter band, and the exchange is Signal Report, serial number and locator. Then on Saturday the 20th, it's the 70 MHz trophy contest. This runs from 1400 to 2000 UTC. You can use all modes on the 4 meter band, and the exchange is Signal Report, serial number, locator and 2-letter postcode. Then on Sunday the 21st, we have the International Low Power Contest. That runs from 0900 to 1200 UTC, and then a little later from 1300 to 1600 UTC. This contest uses Morse code only on the 80, 40 and 20 meter bands, and the exchange is Signal Report, serial number and transmitter power. Right, bear with me just one moment as the computer gives me its next page. Right, the next section we have is the radio propagation report, and this was compiled by Golf 0 Kilo Yankee Alpha, Golf 3 Yankee Lima Alpha and Golf 4 Bravo Alpha Oscar on Thursday the 11th of July. Well, we had another week of reasonably settled geomagnetic conditions and quite a high solar flux index. The solar flux index was at 214 on Thursday the 11th, and the KP index has been around 2 to 3 all week, which is good news for HF. A small coronal hole is now facing Earth though, and a solar wind stream flowing from this zone was predicted to reach Earth by the 13th of July. This could raise the KP index and reduce the lower maximum usable frequencies. It probably won't last long, so we expect conditions to be back to normal by tomorrow the 15th. Active region 3738 is dominating the Sun's surface, but has only been the source of minor C-class solar flares, and it will remain a threat for moderate M-class flares. All other regions have been mostly stable. The daylight maximum usable frequency over a 3,000 kilometre path has often been above 24.9 MHz, with some well-equipped stations reporting contacts into Australasia on the 10 metre band. Nighttime maximum usable frequencies over a similar distance are still consistently above 14 MHz, so make the most of this as they're expected to drop as we move from summer into autumn. The maximum usable frequency is calculated from the Daub ionoson data, and this should only be used as a guide. It may often be higher, especially in some directions. The most sought after DX this week has been Kilo 8 Kilo / Kilo 8 Romeo. They're located in American Samoa, and the DXpedition is testing out all systems on all bands using Morse code, SSB and FT8 ahead of the upcoming Jarvis Island DXpedition. And the station has been worked from the UK on the 30 to 10 metre bands, mainly by well-equipped stations, and it has been testing the FT8 Superfox mode with some success. Contestants in the RSGB's 80 metre SSB Club Championship on Wednesday the 10th reported fair conditions, but a very, very noisy band, and noise is often a limiting factor, especially on the lower HF bands. Next week, NOAA predicts that the solar flux index may drop to between 180 and 190. Geomagnetic conditions may be unsettled today with a KP index of up to 4 at times, and the second half of the coming week should be more settled as long as we don't have a coronal mass ejection. And now we go to the VHF and up propagation news, and this was put together by G3YLA and G4BAO. Well, the forecast is of unsettled weather. That will still be around for the coming week, but there will be some moments of weak high pressure to halt the rain. As we end this week, pressure will rise over western areas, and that'll bring a chance of tropo for paths down the Irish Sea and across the Bay of Biscay. There'll also be a period of high pressure for a time in the middle of next week. That will favour the south. And this gives us a chance of tropo for the week's UK activity contests on the 23 centimetre and 4 metre bands. The unsettled part of the forecast is worth noting, especially if we get some heavy thundery downpours, which would be great for rain scatter modes. There's always meteor scatter as a diversion, and the advice is to look in the early hours before daybreak when random meteors are more likely. Solar conditions are not entirely settled, so there will be chances of aurora if the KP index rises above 4. The sporadic E season is still active within Europe, but not quite so noticeable as during June for UK stations. The jet stream should help next week with Let's start that bit again. The jet stream should help next week with several useful segments over northwest Europe, which should improve the chances of sporadic E paths from the UK into the continent. Moon declination went negative again on Friday the 12th, and that also corresponds to the moon's apogee, which is the point at which the moon is furthest from Earth. So moon peak elevation and path losses will continue to fall again next week. 144 MHz sky noise starts low early next week, rising to a high of 2100 degrees Kelvin on Friday. And that's all from the propagation team this week. This is Golf Bravo 2 Romeo Sierra, the news broadcasting service of the Radio Society of Great Britain, brought to you by Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta in Meppershall, Bedfordshire. Well, now we move across to the local news, and please note the details of all RSGB clubs and societies are available on the RSGB website, and that includes email addresses and website links where we have them. Firstly, for the Midlands, we start off with the Bolsover Amateur Radio Society, and their meetings take place every other Tuesday starting at 8 p.m, and they're held at the Bainbridge Hall in Bolsover. That's postcode Sierra 446 Papa X-ray. The next meeting will be held this Tuesday, the 16th, and you can find more information and get reminders for meetings on the Society's Facebook page. That's at Bolsover ARS, all one word. You can also contact Vin, Golf 4 Kilo Sierra Yankee, on 01246 827 135, and he'll be happy to give you more information. The Bromsgrove District Amateur Radio Club meets every Friday from 8 p.m, and their members are also meet for a regular coffee morning on Wednesdays in the club shack, and that starts at 10:30 a.m. Then on Monday and Wednesday evenings they have nets on 145.375 MHz starting at 7:30 p.m. The Burton Amateur Radio Club has open nets around 145.575 MHz at 10 a.m. on Sundays and 8 p.m. on Thursdays. Then on Monday they have slow Morse code exercises on 14.055 MHz. They start at 11 a.m. and the club meets every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. Then on Thursday they have a net on 145.575 MHz from 8 p.m. The Central Radio Amateur Circle has a net on 145.575 MHz from 7:30 p.m. on Tuesdays and from 12 p.m. on Saturdays. And the group will have a Google meeting at 7 p.m. this coming Wednesday. Cheltenham Amateur Radio Association has daily nets on 145.4 MHz at 8:10 a.m. and the Friday net is on 144.350 MHz from 8 p.m. And next Saturday, the 20th, listen out for members who will be operating portable. And for more information, visit golf5bravokilo.uk. On Friday, the Coventry Amateur Radio Society will be active from Kenilworth Castle. The Dudley and District Amateur Radio Society meets every Tuesday from 6 to 10 p.m. at the Wrighton Mill. That's on 59 Vale Street in Upper Gornal, Dudley, and the postcode is Delta Yankee 3 X-Ray Foxtrot. Gloucester Amateur Radio and Electronics Society has an informal net every day on 145.475 MHz FM at 3:30 p.m. Then on Wednesday they have a net from 7:30 p.m. on 145.475 MHz, and the same again on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. on 145.475, then moving to 80 meters SSB later on. Then on Friday the net moves to 432.220 MHz SSB starting at 7:30 p.m. and on Saturday the Society has its open day from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The Kettering and District Amateur Radio Society have their breakfast meeting from 10 a.m. on Sundays, and on Tuesday they hold a club meeting from 7 p.m. and Thursday is net night, and that's on 145.300 MHz starting at 7 p.m. On Wednesday, Kidderminster Repeater Group meet for a natter night at the Queen's Head in Wolverley, and the meeting starts at 7:30 p.m. On Monday, Leicester Radio Society will meet at its HQ and via Zoom from 7:30 p.m. and on Thursday there'll be a club meeting from 10 a.m. Members of the Lincoln Shortwave Club will meet at the BSA Village Hall from 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday and from 7:30 a.m. on Saturday. Then on Thursday they'll have a net via Golf Bravo 3 Lima Sierra, or if that's busy they'll meet on 145.350 MHz. And for more information you can visit the club's website, which is golf5foxtrotzulu.co.uk. The Loughborough and District Amateur Radio Club will meet on Tuesday, and members are encouraged to bring along equipment with them for discussion. On Wednesday, the Malvern Hills Radio Amateurs Club have their net on 145.350 MHz from 8 p.m, and they have informal meetings on the fourth Tuesdays of the month, which continue as normal. On Wednesday, the Midland Amateur Radio Society will hold a general meeting and will also be running training classes. On Monday, Nunsfield House Amateur Radio Group will have a shack night and club net on 145.300 MHz starting at 8 p.m. Then on Friday, members will meet to discuss EMF and shack feeder management. On Monday, RAF Waddington Amateur Radio Club has a net on 145.325 MHz from 7:30 p.m. and on Wednesday there's Morse code practice at 8 p.m. on 144.085 MHz, and the club will meet at the Pie Wipe from 8 p.m. on Friday. The Rugby Amateur Transmitting Society has weekday nets at 8:30 a.m. on 144.275 MHz USB, and they also have training and practice Morse code nets. They take place on Monday and Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on 144.275 MHz, starting off using USB and then moving across to CW. The Society will be meeting from 8 p.m. on Tuesday and from 2 p.m. on Saturday at the Borton Lee 12th Rugby Scouts Hut. Then on Friday they have a net from 8 p.m. on 1913 kHz. On Thursday, Salop Amateur Radio Society will meet for a direction finding activity. On Monday, the Solihull Amateur Radio Society will meet at the first Solihull Scout HQ from 8 p.m. and during the meeting members will discuss amateur radio software. And on Thursdays they have their nets from 8 p.m. and that's on 145.450 MHz. The South Birmingham Radio Society have their open club nights on Fridays from 7 p.m. and visitors are welcome to attend the Society's Tuesday coffee morning, and that starts at 10:30 a.m. On Tuesday, the South Derbyshire and Ashby Wolds Amateur Radio Group has an open net on 144.225 MHz SSB. That starts at 7 p.m. and members will have a club evening from 7 p.m. on Wednesday. Then on Friday they have a net on 70.425 MHz from 7 p.m. and next Saturday and Sunday, and that's the 20th and 21st, members will visit the Barton under Needwood Steam Festival. On Sundays, Stafford and Districts Amateur Radio Society have their net on 145.375 MHz from 8 p.m. and on Wednesdays members meet at the Wildwood Community Centre from 8 p.m. The Stourbridge and District Amateur Radio Society meet at the Norton Snooker Club from 8 p.m. on Mondays. Also on Mondays, Stratford-upon-Avon and District Radio Society have their net on 145.275 MHz from 8 p.m. And for more information you can visit the club's website, which is, and this is all one word, stratfordradiosociety.org.uk. On Monday, Sutton Coldfield Amateur Radio Society have their net around 145.250 MHz from 7:30 p.m. On Wednesday, Telford and District Amateur Radio Society will have a committee meeting from 7:30 p.m. and that will then be followed by a rag chew on the 2-metre band. On Monday, Welland Valley Amateur Radio Society will meet for a direction finding activity from 7 p.m. The Wolverhampton Amateur Radio Society meets every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. at the Wednesfield and Woodend British Legion. On Sundays they have a net around 145.350 MHz from 8 p.m. and you can get more information on the general club's activities. Visit wolverhamptonars, all one word, .co.uk or at wolvesars on social media. On Sundays, the Withell Radio Club has its nets on 145.225 MHz from 7 p.m. and on Tuesday members will meet for a portable operating session from 7:30 p.m. Now we move to news for the South East and East Anglia. The Aylesbury Vale Radio Society will meet for a discussion evening on Wednesday from 8 p.m. On Wednesday, the Bishop Stortford Amateur Radio Society has its net from 8 p.m. on 145.5625 MHz, and everyone's welcome to join in. Bracknell Amateur Radio Club have their net via Golf Bravo 3 Bravo November from 5 p.m. on Sundays, and on Wednesdays the net moves to 145.375 MHz FM from 8 p.m. On Tuesday from 8 p.m, the Braintree and District Amateur Radio Society have their net on 145.375 MHz. On Wednesday, Bromley and District Amateur Radio Society have their net. That starts on 145.500 MHz from 9 p.m. And for more information on the club, visit their website, which is Bravo Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra.wordpress.com. Burnham Beeches Radio Club has its net from 10:30 a.m. on Sundays, starting on 145.500 before changing frequency to 145.275 MHz. The Bury St Edmunds Amateur Radio Society meet at the Ruffham Tower Museum on the third Wednesday of each month. It's a small but very active club, and there are club nets every day of the week except Sunday. You can find details on the club's website, which is Bravo Sierra Echo Alpha Romeo Sierra.co.uk, and the club's general chat frequencies are 144.7375 MHz FM and 433.400 MHz FM. On Sundays, Chelmsford Amateur Radio Society have a Morse code net on 144.060 MHz from 8 p.m. And on Mondays they have Morse code classes from 7:30 p.m. around 3542 kHz, and that's then followed at 8:15 p.m. by Golf Bravo 2 Charlie Whiskey slow Morse transmissions on 3555 kHz. Then on Tuesday they have an open net via Golf Bravo 3 Echo Romeo from 8 p.m. and on Thursday they have more Morse code classes, this time via Skype, and that starts at 7 p.m. On Tuesday, the Chelsea Pensioners Radio Club have their net on 145.375 MHz from 2 p.m. On Tuesday, Colchester Radio Amateurs Club have nets on 433.400 MHz from 7 p.m. and on 1.920 MHz lower sideband from 8 p.m. On Wednesday, they have an open net around 145.350 from 7 p.m. and on Thursday members hold a club meeting. Then on Friday there's an open DX net that's held on 14.125 MHz with assistance on 145.350 MHz from 2:30 p.m. On Sundays, the Coulsdon Amateur Radio Transmitting Society has nets on 145.400 MHz from 11 a.m. and on 3.700 MHz from 5 p.m. Then on Wednesday they have a net around 70.425 MHz from 9 p.m. Crawley Amateur Radio Club meets from 11 a.m. on Sundays, 8 p.m. on Wednesdays and 2 p.m. on Friday. The club meets at Hut 18, that's on Tilgate Drive in Crawley, and the postcode is Romeo Hotel 10 5 Hotel Whiskey. And for more information you can contact Stuart, Golf 3 Yankee Sierra X-Ray. His phone number is 0772 006 8493. The Cray Valley Radio Society is located at the Scout headquarters to the rear of 61/71 Southend Crescent in Eltham in London. The postcode is Sierra Echo 9 2 Sierra Delta. It has 2 places remaining on its November face-to-face full license course, and any intermediate license holders are welcome to apply. For more information you can contact Dave, Golf 4 November Oscar Whiskey. His phone number is 07956 83435. Then on Thursday the 18th of July, Dave Lawley, Golf 4 Bravo Uniform Oscar, will give a talk on the subject of Get Knotted Field Day Techniques. And this is in readiness for the club's informal field day. And that's from 8 a.m. on Saturday the 20th until 5 p.m. on Sunday the 21st of July. The event will be held at the Gosnhill Farm in Crockenhill, Swanley, Kent. And the postcode is Bravo Romeo 8 8 Lima November. The Cray Valley Radio Society's 2-metre and 4-metre FM nets are held on 145.350 MHz on Sundays at 10 a.m. and 70.425 MHz on Fridays at 8 p.m. They also have a top band SSB net which moves to AM on the first Monday of each month around 1.905 MHz from 8 p.m. On Wednesdays, Crystal Palace Radio and Electronics Club have their net on 145.525 MHz, and that starts at 8 p.m. Then on Saturdays, the club has a net on 51.550 MHz FM from 8 p.m. On Sundays, Darrenth Valley Radio Society have their net on 145.475 MHz at 8 a.m. The Dorking and District Radio Society have a net each day from Monday to Saturday on 144.775 MHz FM at 10 a.m. On Thursday, the Dover Amateur Radio Club is having a shack night. Essex Ham has a net on Monday via Golf Bravo 3 Delta Alpha starting at 8 p.m. with chat room and audio feed at essexham.net. On Sundays, Felixstowe and District Amateur Radio Society has a net on 145.400 MHz from 10 a.m. and on Monday there'll be a beach-based portable operating session from 6:30 p.m. Then on Wednesday they have a net via Golf Bravo 3 India Hotel from 7:30 p.m. On Thursday, Fort Purbrook Amateur Radio Club has an open net via the Golf Bravo 3 Charlie Whiskey repeater, and that's from 7:30 p.m. And on Saturday, members will take part in the 70 MHz trophy contest. On Tuesday, Harlow and District Amateur Radio Society will have a technical evening, and on Wednesday they have their net on 145.425 MHz from 7:30 p.m. On Friday, the Society will meet from 8 p.m. and visitors are welcome to attend. Then on Saturday, members will be visiting Bletchley Park. Hastings Electronics and Radio Club holds a daily net on the Golf Bravo 3 Echo Sierra repeater at 10 a.m. They also have a Morse code net on Monday nights at 8 p.m. on 144.575 MHz. The Morse net is aimed at anyone new to Morse code or wishing to brush up on their Morse skills. Non-members are welcome to take part, and the net is followed by general conversation. Then on Wednesdays, usually around 1 p.m, members meet up at various locations in the area for an afternoon of portable radio on the air on HF and VHF using SSB, Morse code and FM. Non-members are welcome to visit, and the details do change each week, so it's a good idea to visit the club's website on Wednesday mornings to see what the up-to-date information is about the location on that day. The club's website address is Hastings-electronics-radio- let me start that again. Hastings-electronics-radio-club.com. On Sundays, the Horndean and District Amateur Radio Club have a Morse code net at 9 a.m. around 1950 kHz, then moving to SSB at 9:30. There's also an 8 p.m. net on 433.450 MHz. On Monday, there'll be a net around 1950 kHz from 7:30 p.m. and that net moves to 145.375 MHz on Wednesdays from 7:30 p.m. Then on Friday, members will meet to hold intermediate license training and to have a natter night. On Thursday, Horsham Amateur Radio Club will have a social meeting at the White Horse in Maplehurst. On Sundays, the Isle of Wight Radio Society have their net via Golf Bravo 7 Papa Oscar and Golf Bravo 7 Mike Tango from 8 p.m. They also have a net from Monday to Friday via Golf Bravo 3 India Whiskey from 6:15 a.m. Then on Tuesday, they take part in the Bramble net via the Golf Bravo 3 India Whiskey repeater from 7:30 p.m. On Thursday, they have another net via Golf Bravo 3 India Whiskey, and that's followed by a Zoom meeting from 8 p.m. Then on Friday, members meet at the Haylands Farm, that's in Ryde, and at those meetings, foundation and intermediate training is available. The Loughton and Epping Forest Amateur Radio Society have their net on Wednesday from 8 p.m. on Brandmeister DMR Talk Group 23511. On Thursday, they have a net from 8 p.m. on 144.725 MHz FM, and on Friday, they have a Zoom meeting from 8 p.m. The Lowestoft District and Pye Amateur Radio Club have their net on Sundays on 433.575 MHz from 8 p.m, and on Tuesday they meet on 145.475 at 8 p.m. The club meeting is on Thursday evenings from 7:30 p.m. and the final net of the week is on Friday, and that's on 51.490 MHz from 8 p.m. The Martello Tower Group have their net every Monday evening at 8 p.m. via Golf Bravo 3 Charlie Lima, and on Sundays the group has a net via Golf Bravo 3 Charlie Echo, and that's from 8 p.m. Medway Amateur Receiving and Transmitting Society nets take place each weekday from 9:30 a.m. on 144.650 MHz. On Friday, the Mid Sussex Amateur Radio Society will have a Skittles and Pizza evening from 7 p.m. at the Bull Pub on London Road in Mockbridge, Henfield. The Norfolk Amateur Radio Club has a net via Golf Bravo 3 November Bravo every Monday from 7:30 p.m, followed by a Morse code net on 3543 kHz, and that's at 8:30 p.m. Sheffield District Amateur Radio Society meets on the air on Mondays and Wednesdays. On Monday they meet at 7 p.m. on 1985 kHz lower sideband, and on Wednesday they meet through Golf Bravo 3 Papa India at 8 p.m, and everyone's welcome to join in. Their clubhouse is being renovated at the moment, so the next club meeting is scheduled for the 12th of September. You can keep an eye on the club's website for updates to the meeting calendar, and the website address is Sierra Alpha Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra.co.uk. On Wednesday, Southdown Amateur Radio Society will have a cafe meeting at 12:15 p.m, and this will be followed by a net through the Golf Bravo 3 Zulu X-ray repeater from 2 p.m. The Stevenage and District Amateur Radio Society meets every Tuesday evening from 7:30 p.m. at the Stevenage Resource Centre. That's on Chells Way in Stevenage, and the postcode is Sierra Golf 20 Lima Tango. There's free tea, coffee and biscuits for everyone attending. They also have a club net which is usually organised on Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. on 145.450 MHz. They have another net which is held on Thursday evenings on the 80 metre band around 3.727 MHz, and that's using the club call sign Golf 3 Sierra Alpha Delta. You can find more information on the club's website at Sierra Alpha Delta Alpha Romeo Sierra.com. On Sundays, the Surrey Radio Contact Club have their net on 1.905 MHz at 9:30 a.m. And then on Monday they have a net on 3.710 MHz lower sideband from 9 a.m. On Tuesday they have a net on 51.550 MHz at 8 p.m. On Wednesday they meet on 28.078 MHz JS8 from 10 a.m. and on Thursday the net is on 70.300 MHz from 8 p.m. On Friday they meet on D-Star on 144.6125 MHz from 7:30 p.m. That frequency, is 144.6125 MHz. And they also have an FM net on 145.350 MHz from 8 p.m. On Sundays, the West Kent Amateur Radio Society have their net on 28.730 MHz from 11 a.m. and the Monday net is on 145.375 MHz from 8 p.m. Then on Wednesday they meet on 51.510 MHz FM before changing frequency. And that ends this week's broadcast, which was brought to you by Graham Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta in Mepershall, Bedfordshire, and the station's currently being operated remotely while I'm away from home. If you have any news items that you'd like us to share on the GB2RS news broadcast or in Radcom magazine or on the RSGB website, please send your news items to us, to the editorial team. Their email address is radcom@rsgb.org.uk, and you can get some free publicity for your events. The deadline is the Thursday before the news broadcast. The RSGB retains copyright over all material transmitted, and you can find more information about amateur radio on our website, which is rsgb.org. So until next week, we wish you 7-3 and a pleasant Sunday and a good week ahead. This is Graham Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta. I'm afraid I'm not able to respond to calls today as I'm operating the station remotely. If you would like to send in an emailed report, I'd really welcome that. You can see my email address on qrz.com if you have a look at the call sign Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta. So for now, 7-3, and this is Golf 4 Juliet Bravo Delta now closing down. Bye-bye.